Hello. So I wanted to talk about assemblies and how to go about them and just generally work with them within SolidWorks. So I have this shape here, like a tube sort of shape with a circle cut inside, and I want to make a rod so this tube can ride on it. So we say new part, and if we say we want to know what this diameter is, so let's just check that. By using the measure tool within evaluate, we can work out what this diameter is. So a diameter of 40 mil. Okay, cool. So then now we're in our new part that we made, um, the new part we opened up, and obviously we want to get started. So we're going to click sketch, that. Then we're going to make a circle, and we know that it has to be 40 mil. But assuming this is the real world, and we need to make sure that the tube is slightly smaller than the gap. So let's say we'll make it smaller by 1 mil. So that's 1 mil gap between every direction, so the tube could slide on. Obviously, it depends on the material you're using, but let's just work with what we got. So we know, let's just make it a random length. Let's just say 240. And let's just call this rod, or just say it was part 2, that's fine. Um, Save. So let's say we want to put these two parts together. What we would do is go File, New, Assembly, and we want to get the part that we are going to usually work with the part that you think is going to be fixed first. So we know that part 2 is the rod, so it should stay stationary. So when you bring it in for the first time, what it will do is add this F in this tree menu. It will show you the parts that you have in this assembly. So you can see this assembly here. You've got your history, so the part that's being imported, the generic planes that are there, defined as that assembly center, and you have the part. Now this F in front of the part means fixed, so it means that you can't do anything to move it. You can't rotate it, you can't change anything about it. So the part will stay fixed in its space. I mean, obviously you can move the screen around to see different points of view, but this part should remain fixed. So obviously you can unfix it by just doing float, and then that makes the item float. But we don't want that right now, so let's fix it. Now we want to insert the shaft, so the thing that rides on the pipe or rod. And let's just bring that in. Cool, we've got two parts here. So obviously you know what's going to happen. You want the shaft here to ride on this. So let's say you have like um, a steam train, then you want this shaft to ride on this piston um, to kind of constrain the movement of the energy going from the steam engine to the wheels of a steam train. So what we would do is click that inside. We click on that surface, then we click on this surface. We click mate, and then within this mate section, it gives you different types of constraints that you can possibly put. So you could have parallel, so they're both in a parallel plane, perpendicular, tangent, similar to that, and concentric. So that basically means that the circles both have the same center point. So really what we want. So if we press OK, and then you can see we can move up and down. So yeah, obviously you can rotate it around and you can pull it up and down. So that's one way of creating a constraint-based assembly. Um, but this in general is really the beginning steps of making a more complex assembly. and you can see your mates have been defined here. That traffic light icon means it needs to be updated before you do anything. Um, that usually happens if you've got a bit of complex parts put together and some calculations need to be done before you can update the view. And again, you just save it. Now, sometimes if you do something like create parts within the assembly, you can either save the parts in the assembly itself, or you can save them as individual parts outside the assembly. Now, I would recommend the second step because if you save the parts inside the assembly and let's say the assembly crashes or something corrupts, all your parts are going to be vanished. So it's good practice to save each individual part outside of that in a defined folder that you know its location is not going to change, and so you can bring in parts more easily that way. But yeah, that concludes this tutorial. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.